welcome to AMC Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Ashley Mova, and this is the daily show where we give you all the latest news from the world of movies, plus a little bit of insight into what it all means. Joining us, as always, is AMC Movie News Editor-in-Chief, John Campea.
Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, coming to you live from right here at the Stream.TV studios here in Hollywood, California. And I am constantly reminded about why I have the best job in the world. Now, we've got a bunch of items in the world of movie news we are going to get to in just a minute. But in case you did not know, one of the best movies of the year, Captain America: The Winter Soldier, goes on sale on DVD and Blu-ray today. And to help commemorate that, the home video event going on, we are extremely lucky to have with us Anthony and Joe Russo, the Russo brothers, the directors of Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Guys, thank you so much for coming into the studio today.
Thanks for having us. Yeah.
Hey, listen, before I get into anything else, one of the things that I like to ask filmmakers, especially about films that are awesome, and let's just get this out of the way. The film is awesome, so no need for false modesty or anything like that, okay? You know, you go into it, obviously you have your script, you're happy with it, you're excited about making the film, you believe you have a great story, but then comes at some point that aha moment that you realize in a quiet room or in a car driving, we actually do have an awesome movie. This movie is awesome. At what point did that come for you guys when you realized this worked? This all came together and it worked?
It's a tough question.
I think it's usually when you see the first cut, right? That's the real litmus test. We worked with Clooney early in our careers. He and Soderbergh produced a movie for us called Welcome to Collinwood. And we always said to Clooney, Clooney told us after we screened the initial cut of the director's cut of Welcome to Collinwood, we said, "What do you think?" And he said, "Well, at least I didn't throw up." And that was his litmus test for whether a movie's going to hold up or not. He said when he saw the first cut of Out of Sight, that he walked outside and threw up because he thought his career was over. So I think when you get a first cut that's watchable, a director's cut that's watchable, you know you're in the ballpark of achieving something good. When we watched it for the first time, there was no major plot holes. There was, structurally it held up. It had really good momentum. The action came out the way we were hoping, and so I think that was the moment.
But I will say we may have had some preludes to it on set. When we were executing some of the action sequences, just the way it was coming together, the shots we were getting, the energy, it felt like we were getting something very special. And also with a lot of the performances, some of the more intense performance scenes in the movie, once the actors performed those, I think we also kind of felt like, wow, we got something special. So
now, I find that when Marvel films in particular, a lot of films, but generally with Marvel, the ones that really, really work are the ones where the relationships take front and center and really impress. Like with Thor, it was the relationship between Thor and Loki and Thor and his father. In Iron Man, I love the relationship between Tony and Pepper and stuff like that. You had three really key relationships I found in Captain America: Winter Soldier, all involving Cap, with Widow, Falcon, and obviously with Bucky. And one of the things that I loved so much about this film was you instantly think, well, Black Widow's in this one. Oh, okay, that big romance with Captain America and Black Widow. That's the standard Hollywood formula. You guys went against that grain. You didn't go that way, and I love the fact that you did. Was there ever discussions, though, and thoughts brought up that you guys were going to try to start something that way? Thanks, guys. Perfect picture to bring up right now. Yeah. Did you guys ever think about going in that direction? Was that ever on the table?
I don't think so. I think we always thought about that relationship as a very intimate one, but a friendship. The analogy we always used for ourselves was like a work husband, work wife relationship, where because they're, because of their closeness in their job, they develop a closeness in their emotional life. And between a man and a woman, that sort of takes on colors of a married couple, sometimes even if they aren't, or a romantic couple, even if they aren't.
There would be sexual tension because they're both attractive people, they're both single.
I didn't notice.
They are, they're working intimately together. So we felt like that was a more interesting relationship to explore. It was less traditional. And also, you want to be true to Cap's character. He's not a guy that that really falls for people. It takes him a little while to acclimate and to let people in, and service comes first with him, and then personal comes second. So it wasn't really a movie that allowed for the space for that to happen in a way that would have been satisfying, I think, to audiences.
Now, when the word came out that you guys were bringing Falcon into the mix, There were some of us, I'll admit, I was one of them, who was a little bit worried that felt like, is it going to feel like they're just forcing in these extra characters and stuff like that? You guys found a way to have, and when you got Anthony Mackie. I mean, so right there. But right from that first scene, running the track, and on your left, and you found a way to not just make him fit in the film and not make it feel jarring. It was like he was there from day one. That relationship between Cap and Falcon was so natural, so real. What was the key for you guys to make that relationship work so well?
Well, I mean, if you look at where Cap is in the movie, I mean, we're finally catching up to him fully in the modern world in this movie,
Right.
okay? Because and he's a man. He's very out of place. He works for an organization he's not sure he sort of believes in or trusts anymore with Shield. He's a very isolated guy. So I mean, he was starting the movie in a place where he's very much in need of a friend. So in that respect, it was a very powerful relationship because Cap was in a place where he needed it. Also, we really liked the fact that they had similar backgrounds. They're both military guys. They're both sort of salt of the earth kind of backgrounds, and that humble background that they share, and their sort of military training and discipline is just it put them in the same place, in a lot of ways.
I also love what you guys did with Bucky, because there were a lot of different ways that the whole Bucky thing could have fallen apart. I mean, there was lots of different ways that something like that may not work, and it captures you right away in the film. Like when I walked out, the first time I walked out, I turned to my friend and I said, it felt very much like an author and Lancelot relationship in many ways to me. When did you guys decide on having not just Bucky as, Winter Soldier and stuff like that, but you were going to maintain those strong emotional bonds between the two characters? How did that all evolve?
Well, it was critical to the storytelling. I mean, we knew that we had a third act. We always say that like a way you can define a third act in an action film. One of the great moments in action movies is, when Jim Brown has to run with the grenades and the Dirty Dozen and get them in the chimney pipes before all the Nazis get out of the basement. We had that kind of third act. Cap has got the grenades and he's got to get them in the chimney pipes before the helicarriers take off. So, that's structural, that's plot, right? And that's not something I think that people can necessarily sink their teeth into, and that might be, I think when people ultimately find a movie superficial, it's because the movie's really plot heavy. You have to have story. And story is what's the emotional moments in the film, what are the touchstone moments? And that relationship between Cap and Bucky, remember when we sat with Kevin for the first time, Kevin Feige, who runs Marvel, and he told us they were going to do the Winter Soldier story. We said, that's Star Wars. I mean, it's really, it has all that pregnancy of emotion that Luke and Vader have. It's two brothers who are in peak physical condition, who are both super soldiers in their own right. One's a super soldier, one's a super killer, who come into conflict. And can this brainwashed best friend, that's all that's left of Cap's past, other than the dying Peggy, can Cap save him? Can Cap save that component of his past? How important is that to a guy who was frozen for 70 years and now feels completely out of place in the world? That's where we knew we had to have the emotional touchdowns. We always said, I want to be 12 years old and crying at the end of this movie and looking at my buddy, making sure he's not looking at me and doing that's the moment that we wanted to have happen at the end of the film. We knew that, that would be the story, hot air balloon that would lift up the third act, is if we could create real emotional conflict for the audience and those characters in that third act.
Speaking of the little wiping of the tear moment, I remember one of the after credit scenes that we talk about it on the show all the time. That scene where it's just Bucky standing there looking at his own, like with him and Cap on that memorial, no words spoken, no movement, killed me.
Yeah.
Like I just love that scene. I've snuck into the AMC Burbank 16 Theater probably 15 to 20 times just when I knew the movie was ending, just so I could watch that scene again.
Right. Wow.
Like it was just so cool the way it came out. Now, whenever I talk about Captain America around here, one of the questions that we often get posed to us by viewers is there ever going to be a future for Red Skull? Now, we saw the way Red Skull ended in that first film. We know the actor isn't really all that keen on coming back to be Red Skull, but Was there ever, going into Captain America Winter Soldier, in those initial stages, was there ever talk about, is there a way to incorporate him back? Has there ever been any talk about bringing him back that you guys are aware of, or that you're even permitted to talk about?
I think we heard that prior to our involvement with the project, I think we heard they may have had that conversation at one point, but we weren't around for it, so it's hard for us to comment on it.
I mean, specifically the tone that we were chasing in that movie, I know we have a guy in a computer, but
We were just talking about that off screen.
the tone we were chasing was sort of that conspiracy thriller, and we wanted to try and ground the movie as much as we could. And Red Skull's he's a fantastical character, and so it didn't necessarily fit for Cap 2, especially because it was about the fall of S.H.I.E.L.D. Now, certainly Hydra exists, and that's his legacy, but there's something interesting about the fact that his legacy, outlived the Skull, and they're still dealing with the demons of it, but not necessarily him. Now, that doesn't preclude him from returning, because he's certainly in the rogues gallery of Captain America characters. He's the preeminent figure. So that doesn't preclude him from returning. It didn't necessarily make sense, though, for Cap 2 to use him.
Right. Now, I want to talk about some of the events going on today, the big stuff. But before I do, I will get lynched if I don't at least ask you this one. Now, we know that in the comic books, especially with the way you guys set up Winter Soldier in the last film, we know in the comic books at some point and another, here and there, that Bucky has taken up the shield. He's become Captain America. We see now in the comic books that Falcon is becoming the new Captain America. No innuendo. I'm just get right to it. Is Steve Rogers, Captain Rogers, is he still Captain America by the end of Captain America 3?
We actually kill him on page 60. Did I just say that?
And then
I just say that?
Then we introduced the first female Captain America. But
No, we're going to have Falcon and Bucky fight for the shield. Whoever wins gets the mantle. Listen, it's, we always say it's called the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's not the books. It certainly borrows from the books, and it borrows from the mythology, and that's part of the fun of it. If you're a comic book fan, is that you get to see these things that you've dreamed about since you were a kid. You get to see them realized in a way where the effects are finally up to par with what you want the vision of the movie to be. But it doesn't mean that everything that the books are so vast and complex, and so many decades of issues and storytelling. We can't fit that all in the 2 hours. So we have to pick and choose, and I think it doesn't mean that it won't happen. So I'm being intentionally obtuse here, but it doesn't mean that it will. So
well said. Well said. All right, but I do have to ask you about today. Captain America: Winter Soldier hits home video today. You guys have some really cool events lined up today. Tell us about what you're doing for the rest of the day once you leave here.
yeah, we have a special event at Amoeba Records in Hollywood where there's going to be a special vending machine.
Cap versus Hydra vending machine. There's going to be prizes given away. We're going to be signing DVDs and talking to the fans. So it's a big sort of release event with all kinds of cool stuff going on over at Amoeba Records.
That sounds like a lot of fun. And the last thing I'm going to ask you about here, too, getting back to this film, is that you mentioned the fact that it's really a conspiracy movie. I remember very, very early in the process where it came out that it's going to feel like a 70s political thriller. And we went into it, and Amy Rose, I think, was there, and we walked into it thinking, how are they going to do this? Because it's still a comic book movie, right? Mm-hmm. You can say it's going to be a political thriller, but it's going to come back to feeling like a great comic book film. It feels like a 70s political thriller. It was just so different from any comic book movie we've ever seen on that level. How did you guys keep it from just feeling like another comic book film and really drawing out that feel of that political thriller, that conspiracy theory movie?
I mean, I think that's something. I think if you look at like all of our work, we like combining sort of seemingly incongruous things, and sort of mixing them together and see what we come up with. It's kind of been a creative formula of ours. Whether you look at like Arrested Development, which sort of mixed absurdist comedy with a mockumentary style, realism, etc. So yeah, we like the challenge of like, how do you make a superhero feel real? Something is specifically fantasy. So I don't know. It's just a commitment on our. It's just a hardcore commitment to grounding things in every way you can. Now, certainly you can't ground everything, or else you have no superhero movie anymore. But we just took every opportunity we could and said, how can we tether ourselves to the real world texturally or narratively so that people feel like this is something that's plausible, it's something that can happen in our contemporary world. And I think that, so when you do that sort of like with every beat of the film, even though there's many beats where you can't do that too, it kind of shifts, it's like a tipping point almost. It kind of puts you in a realism, even though it's a fantasy realism.
Yeah, you want to check all the boxes on stylistically too on your choices, so that you're creating that conspiracy tone. We grew up on 70s films. It was two touchstones for us in this movie. We've been collecting comic books since we were kids, and our father was a big movie fanatic. We used to watch The Late Show with him growing up, and he loved 70s thrillers, French Connection and 3 Days of the Condor. So we grew up on those films. So we went back and studied French Connection and Condor. And one thing we looked at really was, because we wanted to eke out tension in the film, was we looked at De Palma. And so there's we owe a great debt to De Palma in this movie. The elevator sequence, Fury stuck in his car, sort of putting characters in impossible situations where you then milk the tension for as long as you can. How do they escape this situation? It almost seems like an impossible situation. And so that's, I think, the look of the film, the handheld camera work, the style of fighting in the movie, the style of acting in the film, the type of lenses that we use, or longer lenses, all that contributes to creating a 70s paranoia vibe.
Well, you did it. So, I mean, so many things here to congratulate you guys on. The movie in general, the DVD release today and the Blu-ray release, your session. By the way, if you're in the LA area, head on down to Amoeba Records down there today. You're going to meet these guys, get some autographs, and congratulations on winning that game of chicken with Batman versus Superman. We called it the whole way. So thank you guys for being here. We cannot wait for Captain America 3. Now, listen, we're going to be back here in just a second with the movie news, but I wanted to let you know, if you are a film fan, there is this cool little tool I came across a few weeks ago that I can now just simply not live without as a film fan, and I want to introduce that to you. It's called Shush. Here, take a look. Hey guys, John here for AMC Movie News, and I wanted to share with you this cool little tool that I kind of believe is an absolute must for any movie fan. Why for movie fans? I'll get to that in a second. Now, if you're somebody like me, I've got to mute my phone at least 3 times a day. Like when I'm doing AMC Movie News, I got to mute my phone, obviously. When I'm meeting with people, I mute my phone. And especially when you go into the movie theater, as long as you're not a jerk clown, you mute your phone, right? Now, the problem, though, is I often forget that I've turned my phone off, or that I've turned my ringer off, right? So I'll finish AMC Movie Talk, or I'll go into a movie and I'll finish the movie and I'll forget that my phone is muted. And sometimes I won't remember for a few hours to turn it back on, and I can miss like phone calls and messages, sometimes urgent ones, that are coming in. That is until I discovered this awesome little app for Android called Shush that has made my life as a film fan a lot easier. Check it out. Okay, guys, so as I mentioned, this is an Android application. Shush is for Android only. I don't believe there's an Apple equivalent. I've looked around and I haven't been able to find one. So if you are an Apple user, just do your own search for a Shush version or some kind of equivalent on Google. You might be able to find something. I am using an LG G3 phone, but Shush should work across any Android phone. So you have just about any Android phone, this should work just as well. All right, we're just going to start by going to the App Store. So when you're in the App Store, just simply search for Shush. And it should appear right there on the top. You can see it. So you just hit that. Now, on my phone, it doesn't say install because I already have it installed, obviously. But where it says open, you'll see install. You just install it. It's a quick install, no big deal. Once you have Shush installed on your phone, you're just going to go to your app drawer. Now, you may not even actually have to launch this once. In my experience, I did have to launch it at least once. So I'm just going to do it that way. Once you have Shush installed on your phone, just open it once. So here we go. We're opening it once. And you don't have to do anything. You know, it says right there at the top, activate Shush by turning your ringer off. You can just use the volume down button just like you used to. So that's it. All you got to do now is hit that button, sweet, and you never have to open Shush again. Now, you never have to go and find that icon again and open it again. It will now automatically open on your phone when you need it. So let's say now you go into the movie and you sit down and you realize, oh no, I don't want to be that jerk clown that forgets to silence their phone. So what you do is you silence your phone like you normally would. So I'll just turn my volume all the way down. And as soon as I turn my volume all the way off, Shush automatically launches. So, and what it's asking me is, when do I want my ringer to turn back on? So if you're going into a standard movie, you might want to set it for like, counting trailers and everything. Give yourself a little bit of leeway. I'll set it for 2 3/4 hours, maybe 2.5 hours, whatever. And then all I do is hit Shush. Now, as soon as I do, in the upper left-hand corner, a little Shush icon will appear, telling you it's going to turn back on in 2 3/4 hours. So you come out of your movie and you forget to turn your ringer back on, no worries. Shush has you covered. It'll turn your ringer back on. Now, you can still, let's say you get out early and you want to turn your ringer on, just use your volume up button. And as soon as you turn your volume back up, Shush disengages. You can see it disappears from the top left and it's gone. And the next time you want to turn your volume off, just mute the phone and Shush will automatically launch. You can set the ringer to be off for as long as 12 hours. You can have it off for as little as 15 minutes. So it's really up to you. But it's simple to use. It's incredibly useful if you're somebody like me who keeps forgetting it. So yeah, that's my little demo for Shush.
Shush is available for free in the Google Play Store. It has changed my movie-going life. It's awesome for me. All right, guys, we are going to get to a couple of items in the world of movie news here today, so we're going to throw it over to Ashley. Ashley, what do we got?
The new Brad Pitt film Fury has just released a new trailer on the web. Fury follows a battle-hardened army sergeant named War Daddy, played by Brad Pitt, who commands a Sherman tank and her 5-man crew on a deadly mission behind enemy lines. Outnumbered and outgunned, War Daddy and his men face overwhelming odds in their heroic attempts to strike at the heart of Nazi Germany. The film also stars Shia LaBeouf, Logan Lerman, Michael Pena, John Bernthal, and Jason Isaacs, and opens in AMC theaters on November 14th. Amy Rose Byers saw this new trailer for Fury.
Hey, look who just showed up. It's Amy Rose. She replaced one of the Russo brothers.
Oh, yeah, she mentioned Schnepp and Amy Rose are here. Look at that.
Hey, guys.
What happened?
Surprise!
Wait, the Russo brothers. Poof.
We just
Cap
directed a
3.
great
Anyway,
film.
Arnim Zola. What? What happened? Yeah.
All right, to the movie news. I buy that trailer very enthusiastically. I love how this trailer is very, very different than the first one. I hate when they just add a couple scenes and like, brand new trailer, and you're like, well, that was like a new scene. This was a very different trailer. It had a different vibe to it, different energy. I love the cast. I love that Michael Pena, like, he is such an underrated actor, and I love that David Ayer has worked with him before, obviously, End of Watch, which was phenomenal, and this as well. I just hope more people start taking notice. We know Brad Pitt's amazing, Logan Lerman, great. I just think it builds a lot of tension. I love the Inglourious Basterds connection that we kind of made with like history and just like how they're gonna kind of twist that up, but it looks exciting, and I thought the trailer was really well shot and a really interesting narrative that they built, so I'm excited.
Schnepp?
I also liked in this trailer, there was a very different feel of the trailer, and also came down to almost like 300. Well, they even mentioned there's 300 against 5. You know, so it really came down to this. The odds are really against them. They really amped that part of the story up. And once again, I feel like it's a great trailer because it didn't show too much. It showed just enough to know. I know what the story is. I don't know what the outcome is, and I want to see it.
For me, it's a big buy too, and it gave me that oh crap moment, like that one quick shot where you see the tread coming off the tank, and you're like, oh crap!
Yeah.
So yeah, love this trailer. For me, it's a big buy. What's next?
The Hollywood Reporter is claiming that Paramount Pictures has hired writer Justin Marks to develop the script for Top Gun 2. Marks takes over from the Town writer Peter Craig, who wrote a previous draft. Marks recently wrote the script for the upcoming Jon Favreau film, The Jungle Book. John, buy or sell Top Gun 2 moving forward?
Well, first of all, let's go to a wide shot here. Let's get a wide shot. Let's do that Tom Cruise. All right, so with that out of the way, I'll be honest with you I'm a little bit nervous here because although he is writing that Jon Favreau film, Jungle Book, which sounds like it could be really cool, he also wrote what could possibly be one of the top 10 worst films of the past 15 years, which is Street Fighter: The Legend of Chun-Li, which is just an awful. So I'm really right on the fence about it, but just because of who they got on now to write it, I'm just going to very hesitantly say sell.
Yeah, I'm gonna sell as well. I just feel like it's been too long. I don't really care, and I am in the camp that Tom Cruise is a really good actor. I still really think that when he's on screen, he's got a great presence. I recently watched Kubrick's Eyes Wide Shut again, which is so bizarre and twisted, but he's a good performer. So, but I just think it's been too long. I don't really care, and I think this film stood on its own. And you're right, I don't really care about the credits to date. Doesn't mean he's not a good writer, but I can't say that's the one I was like, oh, you got him? Let's do this. So far, it's a sell for me.
Is Tom Cruise attached as a star?
The word is it's likely he will be back. Yes.
I
don't know how you do it without him.
Yeah.
You don't.
I sell it unless it's Top Gun 2, Independence Day Forever. And then they just combine those two. I mean, because you need good pilots if these aliens are coming back. So
You need aliens.
only
See,
way
instead
I'm
of Top
buying
Gun
it.
True, I want that Saturday Night Live skit. I want Iceman the Latter Years. That's what I want.
snap.
But with aliens.
But do you remember that Saturday Night Live commercial?
Of course.
It was when he was Val Kilmer was hosting Saturday Night Live. Then they played Highway to the Danger Zone, but you see just commercial airlines. It says Iceman, the later years, and it's just him, he's like piloting some U.S. Airways flight or something.
You know Val Kilmer would sign on because he doesn't have much else going on right now.
Not a lot going
He's
on
doing
right
a lot
now.
of plays. He's rocking it. you know?
Good for Val.
All right, folks, we're going to take a couple mailbag questions here quick. Listen, if you've got a topic or a question you'd like us to address on AMC Movie Talk, you can email us anytime at amcmovietalk@gmail.com. So we got a couple of questions lined up. So Ashley, what do we have?
Julio Guzman writes, hello, film geeks. Hope you're having a great day. I recently read that in the last battle in The Return of the King, Aragorn was supposed to fight Sauron. Peter Jackson decided to replace Sauron with a troll so it wouldn't take away the importance of Frodo and the ring. In my opinion, I would have loved that final battle to see Aragorn reclaim the honor of his predecessors, but that's just me.
Here, I don't know that this is true, but I have heard this before. I have heard that the original thing, because the big battle's going on, and suddenly Strider comes face to face with the giant dude and he's going to fight him. That at some point they were going to have the re-physical manifestation of Sauron there, and he was going to fight him. If it's true, I think it was good that they didn't. Number one, because you're right, it would have taken away, it would have made the focal point of everything going on there that fight instead of what was going on with Frodo in the lava cave with Gollum, and that's really where it should have been. But secondly, I think it would have diminished Sauron at that point. To just, all this stuff, the biggest, baddest, meanest guy in the universe, we've got to stop it, oh, and he's back, and we kill him like that. It would have diminished what that was. So I think it was, if all this is true that they were thinking about it, I'm glad they didn't do it. How do you guys feel about it?
I would argue you, because when I saw the first movie, they actually had the physical manifestation of Sauron. Remember, he's like smashing people.
I said like 2,000 years
right,
ago.
But I'm
right,
just
yeah.
saying, when they set that up, I was like, wow, that is so badass. Like this giant Sauron just like smashing hundreds of people flying. And the Eye of Sauron was great, and I always wanted the physical manifestation of Sauron to come back. And I would have seen it more like a Return of the Jedi, like they're on the moon of Endor, and then Luke's over on the on the Death Star. You could do those cut backs and forth. I personally would have wanted to see that, and I like the question because that's one of the things that bothered me about Return of the King. Is like, that's just that blinking eye again. So that's how I felt about it.
But it's a creepy blinking eye.
It's a creepy blinking eye.
I'm kind of split on it because honestly, I feel like the Lord of the Rings trilogy is just such a masterpiece that I don't feel like anything was missing. But I mean, I do like what you just said with the cuts because Gollum in the cave and all that, nothing would detract from what was happening with the ring and with all of that. I don't feel like anything would. And I also agree that the physical manifestation of Sauron would be really powerful in that. But I totally see what you're saying about kind of making him not see like this big baddie that we feared. So I think that it's probably better the way it was, but I do have faith in Jackson and the team, and I think that if they would have gone that route, that they could have made it really exciting and interesting and would have pleased a lot of fans who wanted to see the physical battle,
They had a little bit of that in the Desolation of Smaug when Gandalf is in that castle and then the eye.
And he sees the figure.
Oh man, that was crazy. So,
all right, what's next?
Anthony Boughton writes, hey AMC crew, been watching you guys for a while now and have since become my main source of movie news, so thank you. While in my opinion, the more recent installment of the Die Hard films wasn't the greatest, I still enjoyed it. After its release, I heard they were definitely making a sixth film. My question is, have you guys heard anything new regarding whether they will make at least one more?
I'm glad somebody liked it. I mean, actually, you know what? You're not the only one who. I know several of my friends actually kind of enjoyed it.
just a couple.
I did not, but that's okay. As far as I know, they're still planning on doing a sixth. The last thing I heard, which is about 5 or 6 months ago, that the screenwriter was saying that this one's actually going to take place in Japan. What was the name of the company and the name of the building in the first one? Nakatomi? Was that it? I can't remember. Forgive me if I'm butchering. For argument's sake, let's say Nakatomi was the name of the building. That the company invites John McClane to Japan on the 30th anniversary of when he saved all those people in the building, and then the new film happens there. I've also heard that they're talking about bringing Samuel Jackson back, which has been my favorite. Zeus has been my favorite side character in any of the Die Hard films. So as far as I know, they're still planning on it, but I haven't heard anything concrete yet. You guys heard anything else?
I haven't heard anything. I did not like the film. I'm sorry. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And, you know, we do see franchises turn around like we did with the Fast and Furious franchise. Fast 5 is what brought that back to get people really excited about it. And, you know, some of the earlier films, people were like, what was this, whatever. So I can't say that after a film I didn't enjoy it, that I'm like, oh, bring on the next. Maybe it'll redeem it. But it does happen. So it's possible they could get that nostalgia and that formula back that we loved so much from the first films. But I haven't heard anything about it, and I can't say I care too much at this time.
Yeah, I didn't like the very last one, but I think they should go radical, call it Die Soft, and go G-rated, and like McClane jumps into a world of animated flavor. With little bunnies, and it's like a lot of songs, get some Frozen action in there. Die Soft.
Spreading love all over the world. All right, what's next?
Ivan Kiaz writes, the Rush Hour franchise is a pretty successful franchise. Last month in August, Jackie Chan said he will only return to the franchise if the script is done right. Me personally, I think Jackie and Chris should return for one more Rush, since the third one wasn't that good. Anyway, what do you guys think? Does this franchise have potential for one more sequel?
Nope. The second one, oddly enough, Rush Hour 2 is one of those rare situations where the sequel was better than the original.
I agree.
Yep.
I really like Rush Hour 2. I always fall back on Rush Hour 2 whenever you want to talk about the director.
Brett Ratner.
Whenever you ever want to talk about Brett Ratner and all, we start piling on with all the Brett Ratner hate, I'll usually fall back, hey man, Rush Hour 2 is actually pretty damn good. Rush Hour 3, though, was awful. And it took a big nosedive box office-wise. Like, Rush Hour 2 made like somewhere in the ballpark of $350 million worldwide. Rush Hour 2 made like $250 million worldwide, and it was terrible. Not to mention, I mean, Chris Tucker sunk this franchise, because you remember he started making huge salary demands to do a third one and all that kind of stuff. And so I just don't see it. I don't think we don't need it. I don't think I want it. And financially, I don't think it's viable. So I can't see it happening. Do you guys see it any differently?
No, I would rather Jackie Chan do Project A3 or like Drunken Master 3 and Comes to America. That, I mean, let him go out with a bang with his own franchise here in America. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I agree. I don't care either. Although if they did it, One More Rush is a pretty good title. So good job with that question.
One More Rush.
That was a pretty good title.
I completely changed my mind.
Ratner, get
One
on
More
it.
Rush.
Yeah.
But you know, they are kind of like some of the original beloved like buddy cop duos, because I mean, that was the height of, I feel like, both of them. And like Jackie Chan, he, beyond being incredible in so many different avenues, he's just got this charm and charisma to him, and you just love him. So I really did love their chemistry together, but it's another one of those cases where I just feel like it's been too long and I don't really care. One More Rush, I might change my tune a little bit, but yeah, I don't care, and I don't think they need it. And Jackie Chan, the last project he did, to my knowledge, was the one he directed, starred in, wrote, produced. Crazy.
I think it's the one that kind of prevented him from being in Expendables 3, isn't it? I think, because wasn't it a
Zodiac, or
something like, I believe
like
it was a
that.
scheduling
What was
conflict
that?
or something like that kept him out. But I mean,
Chinese Zodiac. Yes.
I love Jackie Chan.
Me too.
He's so lovable and great, and that's sometimes a detriment, that he's just too lovable and great to ever feel mad at on screen when you're supposed to or whatever.
Right.
But I want to see a movie, Legacy of the Drunken Master.
That would be fantastic.
Where he's teaching somebody. I know he can train Will Smith's kid to be a martial arts. Oh, we've seen that movie already. Okay, I'm sorry. All right, folks, that will do it for us for this installment of AMC Movie Talk. Thank you so much for joining us today. Don't forget, go see some movies at AMC Theaters. Head on over to www.amctheaters.com for your theater, showtime, and movie ticket information. If you want a live audio edition of this version of this show, look in the description of this video and you'll find links to our podcast so you can listen to us on the way to work or at school or wherever. And also don't forget, click the thumbs up button and tell people to subscribe to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. I want to thank, first of all, the guys who are not sitting at this table. Once again, Anthony and Joe Russo, thank you so much, guys, for taking the time to come in and join us and talk about Captain America. I also want to thank the people who are sitting at this table. First of all, Miss Amy Rose Eisenbach. Amy Rose, where can people find you online?
On Twitter and Instagram at Amy Rosie. And just want to remind you, AMC Independent, we have our exciting AMCI Indie Spotlight show. Thank you for all your support thus far. And, you know, we're here to expand your palette of films, and there's a lot of amazing indies, so come hang out with us.
And, of course, the one and the only Mr. John Schnepp. Schnepp, where can people find you?
You can find me at Twitter and Instagram, and thank you every one of you AMC fans who donated. It's over, and now I've got funding. I'm finishing now. I'll just be working on the film, and I love seeing the Russo brothers here. Just a tangent and totally swipe over. Such a good interview, and those guys are awesome.
Hashtag I love Armanzola. And, of course, our lovely host today, Miss Ashley Mova. Ashley, where can people find you?
Twitter, Instagram at Ashley Mova. Happy Tuesday, guys.
And, of course, shoulder shimmy. And, of course, you can find me on the various social media networks just at John Campia. So thanks a lot for joining us, guys. My name is John Campia, and until next time, bye-bye.
Hey everyone, if you liked this video, click that thumbs up button and make sure to subscribe to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. It's free and helps you stay up to date with all the latest movie news, as well as our daily AMC Movie Talk show. Also, make sure that you follow us on Facebook and Twitter to stay up to date with all of our special promotions, contests, and prize giveaways.